Hey Nuggets, welcome back to another episode of QuaranStream. Thanks for tuning in today. By special request by students, the guest today is Mr. Birchem, health and high ed teacher for the high school and the elementary. Hi, Mr. Birchem.
Hello, Hawley Nuggets.
Thanks for joining us from what I believe is your basement.
That is correct.
So let's get into it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing today? 10 is best day ever. 1 is not really feeling it at all.
I'm a pretty positive person, and I really like every day. So, every day is a 10 for me. Now, that said, there are changes throughout. And when I'm dealing with some of the distance learning stuff, we're hitting like -77. But we also just kind of grit through it, work through it, and get ourselves back up to those 7, 8, 9s, and 10s. The sun is shining, and people are healthy around here that I know of right now. So it's a good day.
Okay, that's good to hear. I've been a little all over the place today. My day started out getting word that an old friend of mine lost her husband to COVID-19, actually. So that was the first person that I've heard of, that's somebody that I know or am connected to that has it. And it was that moment that you kind of knew was coming. But it was a tough one to kind of wrap your mind around. So I took a walk and enjoyed the sunshine.
And was that person, they live in this area too then, or are they?
No, my friend is actually from Sri Lanka, and I think her husband had been in New York. I don't talk to them that often, so I don't know the details of it, but just.
The sad part is we're all going to know somebody from somewhere at some point.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully we can keep taking care as best we can and doing our social distancing and recording interviews, etc. So.
Right. Yep. It give a little different perspective today on all the stuff on the news about social distancing and reopening society. So it's an interesting day. For you, Rich, what has been one of the toughest parts about distance learning and the social isolation piece?
Number one, the toughest thing, school related, I'm a teacher, that's what we're trying to teach, is communicating with students. While it's not impossible, it has been near impossible. And a lot of times we just need students to step up. There are different things that teachers, I'm willing to work through with you. And I know my Google Drive was not working earlier today. And Mrs. Boeshans, I talked with you about some of the videos and they weren't working. But that doesn't mean to just give up and not do anything to communicate. Instead, we got to work through that. And so communicating has been the number one difficulty or challenge. Personally, about this time of year, I'm usually trying to help out when we host a track and field meet or umping the junior high baseball, junior high softball games and helping out in some way with that. And I definitely miss those activities. Those have been a large part of my life for all of my life. And to not have that, it's definitely different. It is the right thing to do, as hard as it is the right thing to not have those activities right now so that people can stay healthy. But it's definitely different in my life. And the biggest thing to maybe that's concerning is the unknown. Just there's so many things about this COVID-19 that we don't know. Scientists don't know and doctors don't know. And we're trying to do our best to learn those things as fast as we can and to communicate those messages as fast as we can. But the unknown is always concerning.
That's been one of the hardest parts for me lately because there's so many things that happen in the spring with graduation and planning ahead for next year. And it's just nearly impossible to adequately plan for any of that because we don't know what's happening, in the next couple of weeks, let alone over the summer and the fall. So it's just, this has been interesting. Hopefully it gets better. I don't know when. This hasn't all been bad though. What has been some of the best parts about distance learning or being at home?
I have to chuckle because you said it hasn't all been bad, and I, as a Phi Ed teacher, I just strongly disagree. I have had good experience here. I miss first grade Fayette and fifth grade Fayette, and we, be out at the track and field right now or playing softball. I do miss those things. The good is the students that have figured out how to communicate, the students that are doing things. It is really awesome to see the improvements they're making, and really neat to see. I don't know if it's maybe for me about 70% of students now or so, 70% of my students are making improvements, and they're finding a way to learn. They're finding a way to socialize. They're finding a way through this, which is just going to be huge in life. And so it is neat to see some of those improvements. And then personally, with just the different schedule, I get a little more family time with my 6-month-old son in the morning, because I end up doing more of my work in the afternoon as students turn things in and Google Meets, etc. So a little more morning time with my son Leo, and that's been good. And my wife Alicia appreciates that as well. So we get some time together.
See, it's not all bad. It's just harder to find the good stuff sometimes. What are you finding that you are grateful for these days?
You cut out for a second there. Can you say it again?
Yep. What are you grateful for?
Number one, health right now. I think 99% of people would say that if they're sitting here healthy, or they've made it through the COVID virus, that's something to be so thankful for. And I think it is something that's difficult for teenagers to understand. I remember being a teenager and feeling invincible, and nothing was going to hurt me. I was going to be just fine. And you look at the statistics, while teenagers and kids maybe get the disease less, there's still those that have died from this. And that's a big part of life right now. And so I am just very thankful for the health. My family's all been healthy so far. I'm very sad to hear of your acquaintance, your friend there, Mrs. Boeshans. But I guess I'm also thankful for some of the medical research too. It sounds like they're doing some plasma things to help some treatments. And I know scientists and whatnot are working around the clock to get things done. So thankful for those people. Thankful for my wife, one of the nurses. My wife is a nurse, and seeing her go off to work, I'm very thankful that she's willing to make that sacrifice or to provide that help.
Yeah, I am too. So tell your wife thanks on behalf of all of the Nugget Nation. I think anybody watching this would agree. Knowing that this has been stressful and hard and unpredictable, what are you finding are some of the best ways that you have been taking care of yourself?
That part, hasn't necessarily changed for me. You always need to take care of yourself. My screen time has definitely been up, as I would imagine all of ours. I've tried to, whenever I do end a Google Meet or I do a Wednesday workout with elementary kids, etc., I try to emphasize, hey, now get your screen shut down, get outside, go do something, take a walk, go get the mail. I enjoy reading a book, find a book to read. I got some old Sports Illustrateds. Sometimes it's just interesting to flash back, see what was happening in the sports world at this time, and read. Biggest thing for me is get away from the screen, get away from TV, phone, computer, pads, tablets, get away from the screens, let your brain rest.
I've started dreaming about exercising and running, and I hate to run, but I think my body is revolting against sitting in front of a screen all day long. The longer we are doing this, the more my kids sleep in the morning. So it's been nice for me to get up and go walking in the morning, because I'm still getting up at normal time, and it helps me not dream about running as often, which is super weird. But
and a bike ride. Take a bike ride. I'm sitting here between two bicycles. Just a great time to go do that, and again, stay socially distant and make sure you don't take any head over tea kettles. I heard there was one who had a bike accident and a broken arm here the other day. We don't want that.
oh no, wear your helmet.
Wear a helmet.
So Birch, how can you tell when you are not doing well? When you're on the verge of being overwhelmed or stressed out or burnt out, or you've just had it for the day? How can you tell that about yourself?
Having watched a couple of your other QuaranStream episodes, pretty similar, just the exhaustion and maybe getting short, whether it's with my family members or with Mr. Heinrichs or Mr. Hansen when I'm trying to work on something. I kind of just like, I didn't mean to sound that tone or that anger. I'm just kind of getting done. And then one other thing that I really know is I don't drink caffeine, but if I get to the point where like I need a Dr. Pepper or I need a Coca-Cola, I know that I'm pretty overwhelmed or stressed because once I have caffeine, it maybe gets me through in the short term, but I feel really cruddy later. So I also just don't care to drink caffeine much. And if I'm to the point where I am like, I need caffeine, I know then I just need to find a way to wind down, to get away, to take a break, whatever I need to do.
Oh, that is so interesting. I can't tolerate quite as much caffeine lately when I'm just sitting at my computer. I think I'm not working it out of my body enough. I don't drink a lot, but like I can have about 1 cup of coffee and not 2, and much more water. So interesting to see how our bodies change and respond to stress or movement.
Do you ever get twitchy where you're like shaking almost, or?
If I get like a large coffee from Brookbean, then I would get the caffeine twitches from being over caffeinated. But otherwise, no, I'm not that addicted to it. What is a tip that you would give students that you think is important for them to know to take care of themselves?
Students to take care of yourselves. Well, I'm hoping a lot that have watched this have been in a health class at some point. We got our health triangle there with our mental health, physical health, social health. So I would definitely make sure you're taking care of those things. Physically, can you get a workout in, whether it's in your basement, your driveway, go for a walk. Maybe you're out in the country and you can go walk along the river or truly hike. Do that physical thing. Socially, that's definitely a challenge right now. But if you are on a screen, utilize it effectively. Get on there, talk, set a distinct deadline. Hey, you know what, Mrs. Boeshans, in 15 minutes, I'm done. I'm out of here. And then get away from the screen. I have a tree we cut down in my backyard, and so Mr. Hansen is actually my backyard neighbor. And we've been actually working on chopping, splitting the wood, and then we're making it about head height. And so for those of you that either know home improvement or go and research and look up home improvement, Mr. Hansen is going to be my Wilson, and I'm going to be like Tim Allen, Tim the Toolman Taylor, and say howdy ho neighbor, and he's going to help take care of some of my social health as Wilson and give me good parables, good life lessons, good analogies there. And then mental health, the mental health triangle, just get away from that screen, whether it's TV, phone, or whatnot. Again, I would recommend, I have a little swing in my backyard or a lawn chair, find a patch of grass, maybe it's that walk again or a park, and go outside and stare at the clouds. Take 10 minutes, watch the tree branches. Honestly, let your mind be bored. Let it wander. I think there's so much to just letting things process, letting your brain work some of those things out.
I think laughter is a great way to relieve some stress too for your well-being. And so Nuggets, I want you to Google home improvement and try to find a video clip where you can find that backyard and imagine Mr. Birchem and Mr. Hansen in those characters. It will be worth your time to have a good laugh. You should laugh about that. Birch, what is your advice for students who are struggling in your classes? What should they do if they're having a hard time in health class?
Contact the teacher. And teachers, we've been working together. I've been at the building a couple times, seen other teachers from her, and it is a common issue, a common problem. We have set up these Google Meet office hours. Take advantage of them. If you can, check in. I do have a couple students that will check in for 3 minutes. It's like, hey, how are you doing today? What progress have you made on this project or this assignment? What questions do you have? Okay, 3 minutes and you're on your way. So use those Google Meet office hours. We are all on the Google email system now. Send an email. That's, I don't know how many emails I've sent. I got them in my folder. But if you contact me, I'm going to get back to you in 24 hours with an email. I'd like to see the same from students. That's a work in progress, but use that email. And if you're that student where technology goes berserk on you in that day, then nothing is working, we have telephones. You call, you enter the number in, and then you hear the other person's voice on the other end. Call us. Our phone numbers are all listed on our distance assignment log. They're listed on the school website. Different teachers have web pages where your phone number is. Leave a voicemail on the phone. Contact us. I don't know. In some ways, I feel like when we went to distance learning, that all of a sudden the students became very afraid of their teachers. And I would really hope that's not it. I don't know why you'd want to be afraid. As teachers, our job is to help you. It's to guide you. It's to assist you. And we are trying. Unfortunately, sometimes it's kind of like talking to this wall back here between the two bicycles. And it's like, hey, how's your summer going to go this year? You know, what are you going to do this summer? And that's the type of response we're getting. So contact your teacher. Find a way to contact your teacher.
Good advice, Birch. Hey, this next one's a student question. Student wants to know, how are you managing your time wisely to get done what you need to for your work?
And Mrs. Boeshans, I thank you for kind of giving me a little prep, just to outline of what we were going through today. And I thought this was a great question. So whoever wrote it, thank you. Honestly, for my time management, it's something I would like to improve after being in, I think we've been in distance learning for like a month now with about 3 weeks left, 3.5 weeks left. I would like to improve my time management. What's happened as we got into distance learning and all that is there were many nights where I was sitting right here in my basement from say 7 to 10 p.m., 7 to 11 p.m., maybe 11:30, trying to figure out how to post this or how to get this assignment to work and try to get it all updated. And I have definitely learned, so I'm hopefully a little more efficient at it. But due to that was a whole bunch of time where I was on a screen, right? I wasn't outside. I wasn't with my family. And I'm hoping that I'd improve that, because I think we should take care of our time management. And so my goal to finish out the distance learning year is to put together now, I'm going to be more efficient on my screen time. I'm going to have a hard deadline where, say, at 5 o'clock, I'm closing screens and I'm not going to worry about it till tomorrow, whatever that time may be. To kind of challenge that or go a little further, I plan on talking with my dad and my family and saying, you know what, let's up this a little more. What if we do like a no screen challenge from 6 p.m. to bedtime, where literally you put phones in a cupboard, turn off the TVs, and be creative. Maybe we got to find a jigsaw puzzle, read a book, going for a walk. Maybe there's house projects you're doing. Maybe you have a hobby, some sort of woodworking thing. Maybe you go for a bike ride. I'm thinking that's where I'm going to try to work to, but I do need to improve my time management.
It's hard, I think, because we've moved from this time as teachers where we are in the building from 8 to 3:45 or whatever your time schedule was, to sort of feeling like we're 24/7 on the clock, which is hard to do and hard to turn off the computer when we have more kids we want to connect with or respond to or whatever it is. I know that I have to cut myself off, because otherwise I start to get burnt out. Like, that's probably my number one self-care, is to not keep working all night long. I get fried. All right, last question I have, Birch. What do you want students to know?
What do I want students to know? I want them to know, keep staying healthy. I want them to know teachers care about you. The community of Hawley cares about you. We got many good things going. I want you to communicate with your teachers. I want you to listen to CDC guidelines and medical doctors. I want you to ask for help. as needed. You know, I want you to know a lot of things, but I need you to take care of yourselves. Ask questions, lots of questions. Those are good.
Birch, something tells me you're out of here.
Well, you got to keep taking care of that health, right? So safety first. Better make sure my lights all work, etc. Oh yeah, I think we're set there.
Thanks, Birch. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Mr. Boeshans.
Well, there you go, Nuggets. A good visit with some wisdom from Mr. Birchem. Keep the guest requests coming. I'm nearing the end of the list I have. I want to know who you want to hear from next. Take care, be well, and get outside. The sun's beautiful.